Hello, and welcome to my Mage Guide. Today, we're going to hear the tale of three mages, each with their own unique journey, and we will separate each mage into their own chapter. Each mage will be shown here, and supplied with a chest of knowledge, which will be used to store core concepts, vocabulary, talent trees, and needed spells for their adventure. You, the listener of this saga, will be given a rune of teleportation. The rune will begin to glow when the chapter is nearing its end. So if you didn't quite understand the story up to that point, then that would be the time to teleport back here, and I will retell the story to you. If you're comfortable with what you've learned in the story, we will venture in-game and put our knowledge to practical use. If at any time I use a phrase or abbreviation that is new, I'll be sure to add it to their chest of knowledge, so that if they encounter fellow mages in the future, they will better understand the language. Our first chapter is a tale of a new Frost Mage that is eager to learn the art of ice. In this chapter, we will cover the basics of the following: what cooldowns are, forming a rotation, key concepts a Frost Mage will utilize, such as freezing targets, and what spells synergize with frozen targets, and spell travel times. Our second chapter begins with a mage eager to learn more and has already heard the first chapter. In this chapter, we will cover the following: how to cast AoE, or Area of Effect spells, why Frost Mages want to prioritize some spells over others, and how to form a full fluid rotation. And finally, our last chapter is a tale of a mage who hasn't heard the tale in a while and needs a refresher, without any embellishments to the story. The final chapter includes the following: a current rotation breakdown using the before mentioned abbreviations, a wardrobe check to make sure you're in the most trendiest of robes, talents being used by top mages, stat priorities, and finally some resources to use to fill your own personal chest of knowledge. So, without any further ado, let us begin our story. Hello, traveler. I'm excited you've come to learn the basics of Frost Mage.
I'm a little nervous because I have never played a mage before.
That's quite alright. Together, we're going to take it slow and steady. To get started, we need to open our spellbook and put the following spells on your bar: Frostbolt, Flurry, and Ice Lance.
Okay, got it.
Great. Now we need to locate a training dummy so you can test your new spells out. There is one located here in Valdrakken. I'll mark your map. I'll open up a portal and we can go there together. But before we leave, we're going to need some talents. Here. These should work nicely for what we need to learn.
Thanks.
Ready?
Yeah!
Let's begin with trying out our new spells. This is Frostbolt, Flurry, which shoots out multiple shards, and Ice Lance. Let's take a closer look at what this icon is telling you. I would like you to note that when we cast Flurry, this cooldown timer begins spinning. Here shows you how many charges the spell has. And here shows you when the spell will refresh again. When we run out of charges, the icon will change to this, and let us know how much longer we have until it refreshes. And finally, this little circle just lets you know you have something targeted. The circle is white if the target is in range of the spell, and is grayed out when the target is too far away. If you want to toggle whether or not you see these numbers, open your interface by pressing Escape, then Options. In the search bar on the top, type in cooldowns, then check or uncheck the box that says Show Numbers for Cooldowns. Moving on, the most important thing to a Frost Mage is hitting frozen targets. A target is considered frozen when it's affected by Winter's Chill or by using a Fingers of Frost Ice Lance. You can apply Winter's Chill by hitting them with spells like Flurry and Cone of Cold.
Can you hold on a second?
Sure.
When I saw you casting spells earlier, I saw some icy stuff around you. What was that?
That is an excellent question. These are Fingers of Frost. It makes your Ice Lance act as if the target was frozen, like I mentioned earlier. These little floaty bits of ice are called icicles. You will accumulate up to 5 of them when you cast spells like Frostbolt and Flurry, and automatically shoot them at the enemy if you get more, and release them all if you cast an Ice Lance. And this on top is Brain Freeze. It's considered a proc, or programmed random occurrence. Basically, it happens every now and again, but not every time you cast Frostbolt. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I think I get it.
I did want to mention how you get icicles. Later on in your mage journey, you may want to talent into a spell called Glacial Spike. Glacial Spike requires 5 icicles to cast. Frostbolt will give you 1 icicle, Flurry will give you 2, and a Fingers of Frost Ice Lance will give you 1. Now that we have a grasp of what our spells are, let's start putting it together in a way that makes sense. This process is called a rotation. And just like the name suggests, we are going to cast spells and incur cooldowns, then rotate back to the beginning of the spell list once those spells have come off of cooldown. So I want you to get started on your first rotation, but first I want you to understand what a travel time is, which is the same as saying how long the spell takes to get from your hands to the target. In our toolkit here, we have Frostbolt, which is a slow travel time, Flurry, which is medium, and Ice Lance, which is the fastest. What we want to do is mix these spells so that they all hit the target around the same time. That way, we maximize the effectiveness of Flurry's Winter's Chill. Let's give it a go. Start with Frostbolt, and immediately press Flurry, then immediately press Ice Lance, then Ice Lance again. Isn't that fun?
I think I'm getting the hang of it.
Awesome. As a general rule, if you have Fingers of Frost Ice Lance, go ahead and spend them. If you have Brain Freeze, Flurry, go ahead and use the rotation you just learned. For some added single target fun, let's pull out Icy Veins and Ray of Frost from your spellbook. You can open your spellbook by pressing P. These are 2 of your most powerful spells and have the longest cooldown. Icy Veins makes you cast much faster and summons a water elemental to help you fight. I call mine Fred. There is a special change you have to make after you cast Icy Veins, which is to cast Frostbolt 4 times, then continue on with your rotation. We do this to build stacks of a talent called Death's Chill, which buffs your spell damage. Ray of Frost is a channeled single target spell that also gives you 2 Fingers of Frost. You'll want to use this after the 4 Frostbolts.
But what do I do when everything is on cooldown?
We, as mages, have a spell called Shifting Power, which reduces all your cooldowns by 12 seconds. It's always a good idea to keep this spell on cooldown. Do you have any questions?
I think I just have to work on this for a minute.
Good luck on your journey. What a wonderful young mage. It's beautiful to see the footprints they leave behind in the snow. With each step, a memory left for me, and reserved for just the two of us. But by the time the mage glances back at whence they came, the footprints are all but melted, and replaced with a reminder of what's to come. But for now, let us open a new chapter, and continue on with our journey. Hello.
Hey, I'm having troubles killing things only using single target.
Let's fix that. Here are some spells that will help. Comet Storm, Frozen Orb, Blizzard, and Cone of Cold. And here are some talents to help you along the way. Ready?
Good to go.
Let's begin by orientating ourselves with some new spells. This is Mirror Images. You'll want to cast this before a large AoE pull. A pull is just a set group of monsters. These images will protect you if you get aggro or the ire of the target. Next is Icy Veins, and normally we would cast 4 Frost Bolts right after for Death's Chill. But in AoE, we have to mix it up a bit by adding in some powerful area of effect spells. This is Comet Storm, and it will cause all the targets around the storm to take more damage. This is Frozen Orb. This spell feeds you Fingers of Frost procs, and also makes Blizzard an instant cast, meaning there is no cast time. And here's Frostbolt again, which when in Icy Veins gives you DC, the spell power buff from before.
This seems like a lot. And there's even more to do after?
Yes, there is more, but we can think of this whole rotation as 3 sections. There is the initial opener and a closer. And just like a door that opens and closes, there is a hinge, and that hinge is Cone of Cold. It will reset your cooldown of Comet Storm and Orb, so use them next, which in turn leads to an instant Blizzard again.
So I don't really need all this stuff on my bar, right?
Exactly. We can combine the duplicates so it appears more like this. Now then, let's see the full AoE rotation. Opener, hinge, closer. Feel good about that?
Yeah, but what about after the closer?
After the closer, we need to assess your situation and make your next move based on priorities. As a general rule, for AoE, when you see that Cone of Cold is off cooldown, make sure to have Comet Storm and Orb on cooldown before casting Cone of Cold.
But why?
Because Cone of Cold resets the cooldown of Comet Storm and Orb, remember?
Oh yeah, right.
Blizzard can be used in AoE after your closer, but oftentimes you'll be spending Fingers of Frost instead. Speaking of which, feel free to use all the Fingers of Frost you can while in AoE, but don't neglect Flurry and keep it under 2 charges. Remember, Winter's Chill is essential to your DPS. But keep in mind, this talent tree includes Ray of Frost, and this version of Ray of Frost is suited for AoE. And Ray of Frost is affected by Winter's Chill, so make sure to Flurry beforehand. If you chose Glacial Spike, be sure to throw out a Flurry right afterwards, as the travel time of Glacial Spike is slower than Flurry. Do you have any questions?
I've got like 100 questions, but I see where this is going.
Great, just remember opener, hinge, closer, then priorities. Always use your procs. I wish you well on your adventures. It's like watching the formation of a mighty glacier. Layers of snow stacking upon one another, just as knowledge is built up. It's encouraging to see the growth, knowing eventually the layers will compress into a powerful force. And with that, let us continue to our final chapter. Good day.
Hey, old man, I need the TLDR.
Very well, let us head inside to our study. Here are all the books written by historians and scholars in regard to Frost Mage. The stories therein are magically updated, so you may check them out anytime you like with little worry of the information being outdated. Here are some of the most popular tomes that contain the most accurate representation of the stories you've heard today. This is Murloc.io. Here you can see what talents the top mages are using, along with stats that are trendy. For best in slot items, check out Wowhead's selection here to better keep up with the changing styles. Or you can sim your character to see exactly what you should be wearing here with this read from Raidbots. If you're curious about where you stand with other mages, check out this book, Raider.io. And last but certainly not least is this tome called Altered Time, which is the Mage Discord, where you can directly chat with the folks responsible for analyzing Frost Mage in its most technical degree.
Wait, why is this one all sweaty?
It's not sweat. A student recently returned it, and it must have captured a touch of snow on the way in. There are many other tomes that can be checked out, so feel free to come back anytime.
All right, laters.
Good luck. What a fascinating mage. One destined for great things, I'm sure. And to you, listener, are destined for greatness. I hope you've enjoyed the chronicle you've heard today. Whether you're taking your first steps in the snow, or staking a flag on an icy mountain peak, your unique journey begins somewhere. So I hope I've helped make it the best beginning it could be.